Hello children, welcome to French Learner Group. Today we are going to learn Plus-que-parfait. What is Plus-que-parfait? Plus-que-parfait is a form of past tense. It is used to express an action that had taken place before another action in the past. Means the action of past in past. Like passé composé, there are also two parts of Plus-que-parfait. First is auxiliary être or avoir conjugated in imperfect form, and second part is participe passé of main verb. Let's see some example of verb conjugation in Plus-que-parfait. So first we take one example of parler verb, which means to speak. As you know, parler verb is not coming under the advent group. So we use auxiliary avoir. But avoir verb we will conjugate in imperfect form in Plus-que-parfait. So what will be the conjugation of parler verb in Plus-que-parfait? J'avais parlé, tu avais parlé, il avait parlé, elle avait parlé, on avait parlé, nous avions parlé, vous aviez parlé, il avait parlé, elle avait parlé. Now, the second example of the verb sortir, which means to leave, and this verb comes under the advent group. And those verbs which comes under advent group, we use auxiliary être for that. So here the conjugation of sortir verb in Plus-que-parfait will be j'étais sorti, tu étais sorti, il était sorti, elle était sortie, on était sorti, nous étions sortis, vous étiez sortis, ils étaient sortis, elles étaient sorties. If you observe, I put a chord in red mark in the bracket E, E, ES, S. So what are those? These are the accords which we add with the verb of participe passé according to the gender and the number. What is the use of auxiliary? Être and avoir are a helping verb in the form of auxiliary in Plus-que-parfait. The auxiliary être is used with some group of the verb as passé composé. You already learned the same thing. And this auxiliary cannot be replaced by avoir with one certain group of the verb. Now you must have confusion that when to use auxiliary être or avoir. So how to remember? Several ways to remember the verb that go with être instead of avoir. So first is advent group. Another is Dr. Mrs. Vendetram. And the third method is house of être. So out of these three methods, you can choose any one as per your convenience. So let's see one recap of the advent group. What is this? Advent. A stand for arriver, which means to arrive, and the opposite of arriver is to leave, and in French it is partir. D stand for descendre, which means go down, and opposite of this monter, which means go up. V stand for venir, which means to come, and the opposite of come is to go, and in French we say aller. E stand for entrer, which means to enter, and the opposite of this verb is sortir, which means exit. N stand for naître, which means to be born, and opposite of to be born is to die. In French we say mourir. T stand for tomber, means to fall, and opposite of this verb is se lever, means to get up. You can observe the participe passé of these verbs in red color in the bracket I already given to you. Now let's see some example with both the auxiliary. First example is lorsque le médecin est arrivé, le patient était mort. Means when the doctor arrived, the patient had died. So you need to analyze which one is the first action and which one is the second action. In this sentence, there are two actions which happened past in the past. So the patient had died was the first action. And when the doctor arrived, that is the second action. So the patient had died, which is the first action, we conjugate in the form of plus-que-parfait with the auxiliary être, because more is the participe passé of mourir verb and mourir verb comes under the advent group. Understood? Let's see the second example. Quand il était arrivé à la gare, le train était partir. Now in this sentence, analyze which one is the first action. So if you observe, the first action is the train had left is the first action. And the second action is when he arrived at the station. So that's why the first action we conjugated in plus-que-parfait form with the auxiliary être, because partir verb comes under the advent group. Understood? And the second action of this sentence we conjugate in passé composé. Now, let's see the third example. Quand je suis entré dans la maison, le téléphone avait sonné. Now you tell me which one is the first action in this sentence. When I entered in the house, the phone was ringing. Exactly. The phone was ringing is the first action. And when I entered in the house is the second action. So, le téléphone avait sonné we conjugated in the plus-que-parfait form with the auxiliary avoir, because sonner verb is not a part of advent group. Understood? So that's why we are using here auxiliary avoir with the sonner verb. Now, next fourth sentence is quand elle est arrivée à la maison, les enfants avaient déjà dormi. Now, let's guess what is the first action in this sentence. Exactly. The children were already asleep is the first action. So, that's why we are using here plus-que-parfait. Les enfants avaient déjà dormi. Here also we are using avoir auxiliary because dormir is not a part of advent group. And the second action we conjugated in passé composé. Clear? I hope you understand the plus-que-parfait how to form. Now, let's see a part of this group of the verb. There are some more verbs that conjugated with the auxiliary être. A part of the advent group verb, there are some more verbs that conjugated with auxiliary être. Let's have a look. All pronominal verbs like se réveiller, se lever, se laver, s'habiller, etc. These kind of the verbs called pronominal verb. And these verbs always conjugate with auxiliary être. Okay? Now, re prefix verb. Those verbs which start with re prefix. For example, rester, entrer, rentrer, venir, revenir, tourner, retourner. So, that in these verbs, if you observe, prefix is re. So these kind of the verb also comes with the auxiliary être. Let's see some example with the pronominal verbs also now. Il était resté chez lui quand la police est arrivée. So he remained at the place when the police arrived. So same method you will apply, that first you will analyze which one is the first action and which one is the second action. So first action we conjugate in plus-que-parfait and the second action we will conjugate passé composé. Correct. So il était resté. Resté is re prefix verb, right? So it comes under advent group. So that's why we are using auxiliary être here. So il était resté chez lui. It was the first action. Quand la police est arrivée. It was the second action and we are conjugating this verb in passé composé. let's see now second example. Luke s'est rendu compte qu'il s'était trompé. Now, if you observe in this sentence, both are pronominal verb. Se rendre compte and se tromper. So, here we are using auxiliary être. Now, you will analyze this sentence with that which one is the first action. Tell me. Correct. So, the first action is il s'est trompé. He made a mistake. So, we are using this verb in plus-que-parfait with the auxiliary être, but in imparfait form. Right? So, il s'était trompé. Être auxiliary in imparfait form and main verb is tromper, which is the participe passé. We are using this. Okay, so il s'était trompé. And the second action is Luke realized. So that we are conjugating in passé composé. Understood? Now let's see the third example. La police a découvert que le voleur s'était échappé. Now, first action is le voleur s'était échappé. So we are conjugating this verb with the auxiliary être because s'échapper is the pronominal verb, right? And the second action is la police a découvert is the second action, and this we are conjugating in passé composé with the auxiliary avoir. Clear? Now let's see fourth example. Lina a mangé la soupe que sa mère avait préparée. So which one is the first action? Her mother had prepared, right? So mother prepared the soup first, right? So this becomes the first action. So we are using auxiliary avoir because préparer verb is not comes under the advent group. So that's why we are conjugating préparer verb with the auxiliary avoir in imparfait form for plus-que-parfait. And the second action is Lina had eaten the soup. This is the second action of this sentence, and that we are conjugating in passé composé. Let's see sentence formation of the plus-que-parfait in the different form of the sentences. For example, if you want to write the affirmative sentences means the positive sentences. So which rule you will follow to write the affirmative sentences? First you will write subject plus auxiliary. Auxiliary means être or avoir in imparfait form. Then participe passé of the main verb, and then object. Object means the rest of the sentence. Now, if you want to write the negative form of the sentence, so what rule you will follow? Subject plus n or n apostrophe. Depend the next word, if it is starting with the vowel, then you will write n apostrophe plus auxiliary être or avoir in imparfait form plus pas plus participe passé of the main verb plus object means rest of the sentence. Next form is interrogative form. If you want to write the interrogative sentence with the est-que, then you need to follow this rule. Est-que plus subject plus auxiliary être or avoir in imparfait form plus participe passé of the main verb plus object. Next form of interrogative is inversion form. If you want to write the interrogative sentence in inversion form, what rule you have to follow? In these kind of the sentences, you have to first write auxiliary because it's self-explanatory inversion. Inversion means verb come first and subject come later. So that's why in these kind of the sentences, you need to write first auxiliary être or avoir in imparfait form plus subject plus participe passé of the main verb and then object means rest of the sentence. Plus-que-parfait we used with this C clause also, which means whenever you want to use some hypothetical situation in the past contrary to what actually happened, you can use plus-que-parfait by using C clause. So let's see how to use. First example, si tu m'avais demandé, j'aurais répondu. If you had asked me, I would have answered. So, si tu m'avais demandé. M'avais demandé is the plus-que-parfait, right? And j'aurais répondu is the conditional tense that you will learn in coming videos. So, the main thing is here we are using si clause with the plus-que-parfait. Let's see the second example. Nous y serons allés si nous avions su. So again here nous y serions allés is conditional tense. Si nous avions su. Su is the participe passé of savoir verb. Okay. So si is the clause and avions su is the plus-que-parfait. We are using that, which means we would have gone if we had known. I hope this video has cleared your all the doubts about the plus-que-parfait. Always remember which one is the first action and which one is the second action. Accordingly, you use plus-que-parfait in your sentence. Thank you. Keep watching and keep learning. Bye bye. Take care.